Hello guys, hope you're doing well, and today we have another session where we're explaining in this video different aspects related to renting a property in Dubai. So this session is technically addressed to tenants who are living and leasing or renting the properties in Dubai. As usual, my name is Ahmed. I'm 12 years in Dubai and I'm running company, real estate company and conveyancing, a legal company, where we will be now telling you some more about the 10 most frequently asked questions related to the tenancy in Dubai. So I'm going to go now to the question number one. So the question number one is, what documents does the tenant need to rent a property in Dubai? So for example, if you want to rent a property in Dubai and to stay in Dubai, so technically you need to have an Emirates ID and a residency visa. That's a must. So for example, if you're not having a residency visa, let's say if you're not employed or you have no business running here, then unfortunately you will not be able to rent a property on annual term. You will be only able to rent a property as a tourist on a daily basis, which we call it as a short term. So concluding this question, for you in order to rent a property in Dubai, you must have an Emirates ID. An Emirates ID issued only in two cases. First, you have some sorts of investment, let's say open a company or you purchase a property, or you are employed by the company, or you work for somebody. All right, moving on. What's the typical process of renting a property in Dubai? So technically it will go, we can break it down into a few stages. So for example, the stage number one, you source a property, you find a property, then you go for a viewing with a real estate agent, you like the property, you make your offer, and this offer gets accepted by the landlord, and right after your offer is accepted, the real estate agent will prepare a tenancy contract. Now, after preparing the tenancy contract, you provide all the rental checks and the security deposit and the agency commissions, and then the landlord will give you the keys. After you receive the keys, you need to register this rent in the government system, which we call it Ijari. So now, after you register your Ijari, then you can proceed to move in. Now, while moving in, make sure that you receive the moving permit from the building management or the community management company. Moving to the next question, question number three. How much security deposit should I pay, and is it refundable? So technically, you need to pay 5% security deposit for unfurnished and 10% security deposit for furnished property. That's not a law. It can also depend on your internal agreement with the property owner. Yes, it is refundable in case if there was no damage caused to the property by you. So now, moving on, how much security, I covered already a security deposit. The next question is, what is Ijari and why is it important for tenants? So Ijari, it's technically documenting that you are staying inside the property and you are a legitimate tenant inside this property. Why? Simply because being a legitimate or a legal tenant inside the premises gives you a lot of rights. So, for example, one of the rights can be that the rent cannot be increased except by the government index. Later, we will talk about a government index. So that's why it's important. And staying inside the property without having an Ijari registered, this technically means that you are not a tenant in this property, speaking with the legal terms. Okay, moving now to the next question. Can my landlord increase the rent, and how much and how often? So technically, owner is only allowed to increase the rent if he gives you a 90 days notice period, 90 days before the expiry of the tenancy contract. But that's not it. After that, you need to make sure that the landlord is allowed to increase the rent, because the government overviews every single building in the unit and does indexing for every annual rent. For example, for some buildings, it might be not allowed or prohibited to increase the rent due to the rental index. Rental index is a government service which you can access on a government portal called Dubai Land Department, dubailand.gov.ae. So we're now moving to our next question, and question number 6 here. Who is responsible for maintenance and repairs, me or the landlord? So technically, it purely depends on your agreement with your owner. In case, for example, if it's stated that that for the complete maintenance responsible, tenant is responsible, so the tenant will be responsible. And in case if it says nothing, so then the owner will be responsible for that. Now, however, the market prevailing practice that usually how the tenancy contracts are drafted will be, for example, let's say below 500 dirhams, it will be on the tenant, and above 500 dirhams, it will be on the landlord. Now, moving to the question number 7, can I terminate my lease early without a penalty? Well, technically, it depends. Again, if your tenancy contract has no termination clause, so this technically means you have to stay till the end of your tenancy contract, or you have to go as per the termination clause inside your tenancy contract. So moving on now to question number 8, what should I check before signing a rental agreement? So technically, there are few things you need to confirm. So first of all, you need to make sure that this property owner is a real and legitimate owner of a property. You can do that through a title deed verification. Also, you have to do a snagging of a property. Snagging of a property in sense, you need to, before moving in, you need to go inside and see what is the condition of a property. So if there are any broken items inside the apartment. So this is, we call it snagging, and you need to document it. Also, you need to verify and make sure that the payment structure, let's say the number of checks, is okay for you. Let's say whether it's 4 checks, 1 check, 2 checks, 3 checks, or maybe even 6 and 12 checks. And also make sure that the agent you're dealing with is a licensed real estate broker, and he has a right, and he's licensed, he's by law, he has a right to practice the rental activity. Now, moving on to the next question. Is it legal for landlords or agents to charge viewing fees or commissions from a tenant? So technically, viewing fees, I have never heard of viewing fees. However, for the commissions, usually it will be 5% in the residential segment of the market and 10% in the commercial segment. However, it can purely depend on your agreement and relationship with your real estate agent. And now, going to the last question, what happens if I have a dispute with my landlord? Where can I go? So technically, if there is any misunderstanding or a situation where you cannot come to a conclusion or to an agreement with your owner, and you feel that you're doing everything correctly as it's supposed to be and as per the contract, for any dispute-related matters, you would go to the government entity called Rental Dispute Settlement Center, which is inside of Dubai Land Department. So hopefully you won't need to go there, and it was an absolute pleasure to answer 10 most frequently asked questions in the rental segment. If you have any additional or further questions, I'll be very honored and glad to cover them. You can drop in the comments, and also you can subscribe to our channel. This will be a support. Hit the like button so I know that this content is valuable. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed, and I wish you a great day ahead.